The hour has come for our assembly, 10 o'clock. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of many people. First of all, it's our federal representative, Mr. Rick Kaysen, our MP, Mr. Boyce Jacobs, our MLA for the Progressive Conservative Party, representatives in Edmonton. We have two councillors, Councillor Smith, Councillor Bengry. We have members of the Soccer Association. We have some town employees that are assembled here. And it's a very special occasion. Carson doesn't happen, it's made. It's made by people organizing all kinds of strengths. The biggest strength we have is our resident population. And that is the responsibility of ourselves as a town council. I'm representing Mayor Rick Scow. My name is Robert Russell. We're happy to have the press, and we also have a representative of the second portion of this assembly in reference to the engineering concept for the outfall for our sewer system. We'd like to begin with the soccer business to begin with, recognizing the work that many people have done. We recognize the town council's spearheading in conjunction with the Soccer Association. We do appreciate the political activity of the Soccer Association 3 years ago with the election. We also in this assembly have town employees. I would recognize our administrator, Ms. Marion Carlson, and Ms. Noelle Smith. You people don't realize what work these two do in conjunction with Mr. Jeff Shaw, who's running around here somewhere trying to get things organized. We do appreciate and respect the employees. We also have the managers of the recreation, Mr. Randy Russell, and the water treatment plant, Barton Atwood. We also have many people here assembled, and we're happy to have you all here. The purpose of this is to receive the final formal granting of appropriations of monies for the soccer complex, and following that we will have a second portion of this assembly in which we will talk about another grant structure for the town infrastructure for the sewage outfall. So to begin with, I'd like to introduce our head guests. Mr. Rick Kaysen is retiring after this parliamentary session. We don't know when it's going to be. We hope it isn't for a while, but that's to be determined by many things, including the opposition. I'd like to give his summary of what he has done, because he's been around for a long time. His wife's family come from this area, so he's always had a keen interest, and he was in Pitcher Butte and worked at the University of Alberta before he took his appointment. He's been a member of Parliament for the Lethbridge riding since 1997, when he was first elected to Canada's Parliament as an opposition MP. Re-elected 4 times, the most recent in October 2008, he has returned to office to the constituents of Lethbridge. The last one with 67% of the votes cast, and he was sworn in as a member of the Government of Canada following the January 2006 election. He's a co-chairman of the Permanent Joint Board on Defence and chair of the Government of Canada Standing Committee on Afghanistan. Rick has twice traveled to Afghanistan in 2007 and 2008 to examine it. During his term as an MP, he's assumed various parliamentary responsibilities, including vice chairman of the SCOND. What is that?
Standing Committee on National Defense and Veterans Affairs.
Which ties in with his responsibility on the Joint Board of Defense and also the government. He's raised in Southern Alberta and credits 20 years of municipal government involvement and training for ground for federal politics. First elected as grassroots government in 1977, he served as Pitcher Butte Town Councillor for 9 years before taking his reins as mayor of the municipality for an additional 9 years. 16 years is a long time to do municipal affairs. our turnover in our political efforts here is much faster. Professor by trade, he's a part-time farmer and a muscle car enthusiast. Do you use steroids, Rick?
Just my car is.
Who shares his joy of life with his wife, Janine, 2 adult children, and 4 grandchildren. It's a great pleasure to have such a man represent us in Southern Alberta. We will have him speak to the Assembly. With his presentation, the physical presentation of monies is not done here all the time because it's a transfer from federal funds directly to the town account. So we'll introduce Rick. Let me talk about Royce for a minute because Royce is going to do another one that I won't have to say much. Royce Jacobs, homegrown, our elected MLA. We're very pleased to have him represent us in the Conservative government in Alberta. And what we're seeing is the extension of our municipal government to the provincial and federal levels. We're very favored to have our parliamentary members assemble with us to show you that they do have faces and they are people. Royce Jacobs has done a lot of work in the community. He was very active as a rancher and farmer in the Mountain View area. He also was active on the Municipal Council of Cardston when we had an MD council, and he served for the Reeve. He entered political politics and has served as the MLA, I believe it's 3 terms, 2 before the last one, and then this one, he's there. Is that right? Did you follow all that?
It's my 2nd term.
2nd term. And he's very active in the caucus of the Conservative government. He's a great advocate for agriculture and has done much in assisting with the agricultural input representing the farmers for Alberta to the provincial cabinet. We're very pleased to have him and his activity. I can personally attest to the work he has done to help us obtain the funding through the government grants that go to Edmonton. And Royce has been very favored. He's very hardworking with his wife Linda, who's here with her daughter. And the thing that they do is they have a constituency that runs from Tabor to Waterton. And they have a strip south of Lethbridge. And I don't know how the 2 of them get to all the county meetings, the town meetings, the provincial meetings, and Royce and Linda just go and go and go. And I do respect their faithfulness and representing us as people. So with the official, that's a long introduction. I'd also like to recognize the press that are here and also the TV from Lethbridge. And also we have a representative from Stanley Associates for the 2nd presentation. So we'll proceed with the soccer presentation and then the federal first, then the 2nd. And I want to express appreciation to the activity of the citizens of Cardston and the Soccer Association for spearheading this, for giving us the development. But I also appreciate the listening of our elected representatives of our prioritization of the availability funding that the senior governments are giving, and to our administration, Ms. Carlson, and particularly Noel, who's in the office with finance and knows all the governments. Mr. Rick Clausen.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I was saying to Dr. Russell earlier that it was 13 years ago, I think it's almost to the week, where I gave one of my first presentations as I tried to win the nomination for the Reform Party at that time, and then to move on to the next election. I was in this exact room, sitting at this table, speaking to a crowd a little bit bigger than this, but not much.
It's called Deja Vu, right?
Yeah, it's come all the way around, and it's really a pleasure to be here. How many soccer parents do you have here this morning? Good. Well, I must commend you and your leadership on what we're about to announce here. But Royce, it's always good to see you, and Mr. Mayor, members of council, and the soccer parents, Stacy, community residents. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here today on behalf of our government and my colleague, the Honorable Lynn Yellich, Minister of State for Western Economic Diversification. To help ensure that Canada emerges from the current global recession stronger than ever, our government has taken concrete, effective, and targeted steps to stimulate and sustain our economy through Canada's Economic Action Plan. As of December 1st, just 10 months into this fiscal year, 97% of the plan had been committed. Today, our absolute priority remains to continue doing everything we can do to deliver timely, targeted, and affordable support to our Canadian workers, families, businesses, and communities. So Deputy Mayor Russell, I am pleased to announce here in Cardston that our government is taking another step towards economic recovery by investing $186,000 towards upgrading Cardston's soccer facilities. And I must say, we're one of the most persistent groups I've heard of. Persistent, but flexible and realistic, and that's what made this happen. This investment will ensure the expansion of Cardston's existing soccer field to include additional fields, storage shed, concession building and washrooms, pathways, parking areas, and a playground structure. I know this is great news for the Cardston Soccer Club President Stacey Atwood, her soccer players of all ages and their supporters. As a result of these enhancements, this vital community facility will have the ability to support a greater number of soccer teams, which in turn will encourage more area residents to get involved in physical activity. We recognize that this facility is a crucial component of the Cardston community, and today's investment will ensure it remains modern and accessible for many decades to come. This project is funded through the Recreation Infrastructure Canada program, or RINC as it is known. It is providing more than just a short-term economic stimulus, creating jobs now, but it is also creating a long-term investment in the quality of life of Canadians. Recreation facilities such as local hockey rinks, swimming pools, and sports fields are the heart of Canadian communities, providing places where families, friends, and neighbors can gather together to get fit and have fun. By making investments in projects such as this one announced today for Cardston, we are seizing opportunities to revitalize our economy, to create jobs, and to ensure that when the recovery comes, and it will, our economy will emerge stronger than ever. Together, we're all working to build a stronger West for a stronger Canada. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Rick, for your charity and for what you've done for us. It's much appreciated. Also, Dr. Russell, thank you for your kind introduction. What I liked best about what you said was you called me a homegrown duck. And that's exactly right. I live in Mountain View, but I've always been much affiliated with this community of Cardston. Most of my children went to high school here and watched basketball games many, many times and participated in many events. You know, ladies and gentlemen, it's really, sometimes as politicians we get some rough roads and some critique, but doing things like we're doing today sort of makes it worthwhile, because the monies that the federal and provincial government are disseminating today are really going to help this community. And you know, the first one, the soccer grant, is going to help kids. And as a father of 8 and a grandfather of 30, I certainly think helping kids is really important. So I'm really pleased to be involved in this today. I'd just like to say, pay a tribute to the soccer moms, especially Stacy and Paula, who are on the executive, have been on the executive. And the story goes back a couple years to 2008, when Lindsay Blackett, Minister of Culture, was in Cardston to speak at our AGM. And in conjunction with that, I had arranged for Minister Blackett to meet with several groups, including the soccer moms. And they made such a great impression on the minister that it's been easier for me to work with him to get the funding that I'm going to announce today. At that point, we were hoping for a major facilities grant, which would have given us the opportunity to fund a much larger segment of this project. Because of various problems, we weren't able to get the major facilities grant done that year. And so in the next budget year, the Premier and government did away with the major facilities grant. So that left us with having to work with the Community Facilities Enhancement Program. The maximum an MLA can get under that program is $125,000. And I'm here today with a check for $250,000 out of that community facility program. And that's because Minister Blackett was able to help us double that $125,000 grant. So I want to acknowledge Mr. Blackett for his help today. And as I said earlier, without the great impression and your good-looking soccer moms, I don't know if we would have been able to do this. Even 2 years later, just about every time Lindsay sees me, he remembers that time in Cardston when he met with the soccer moms. And Lindsay's a great soccer mom guy because he has some soccer moms in Calgary that helped him get elected in the last election. So, and you know, who could not be enthused about the sport of soccer? I never played soccer in an organized level, but when I was in school, elementary school and junior high school and high school, our coaches in the fall in Mountain View had us play soccer to get in shape. So I did run around the field a little bit and learn how to kick the ball, and it's a great sport, and it's a growing sport. And it will be a sport that is much appreciated in this community, and it will be enhanced by the field that you as a community are going to build, and I congratulate you for that, and I congratulate the soccer moms, especially Stacy and all that Paula and those that have been involved. So without further ado, Stacy, if you and Paula would come up here. I do have a check. It is a check. It should be a good start. Thank you. I think you should say
What a great day for the town of Cardston. Yes! So excited to be here. What a great day for the soccer families of Cardston, which number about 300 families in the town of Cardston. And over 500 kids play soccer in the town of Cardston. We've worked on this for a long time. And you don't just get $436,000 without the help of a lot of people. And so just for a moment, I'd just like to thank those who have helped. First of all, Mr. Casson and the federal government have been a great support. I met with Mr. Casson in 2008 and gave the pitch, and he was fired up and ready to go with us. And as I worked with different grant advisors along the way, when I was working with WD and the federal grant people, she told me time and time again that Mr. Casson was putting pressure on those people up there to get this approved. And it was without his help, we would not have got that grant. So thank you very much. Appreciate the help of the Western Economic Diversification Canada Fund. They were just so helpful and held my hand all along the way. Appreciate all of their help. And Mr. Royce Jacobs, who has been a great friend and ally for a long time with the soccer program. We talked to him with Mr. Blackett that summer in 2008, and then things were moving, and then we felt like we'd hit a brick wall, the Soccer Association, and we had another meeting with Mr. Jacobs about a year ago, and we went in and we sat down and we put all of our cards on the table, and he saw what we were holding, and he thought he could help us, and I kind of just said to him, you know, Royce, I feel like we're stuck here, what do we do? And should we just keep bugging you until we get the money? And he just smiled at me and said, I would. And so then we took that very seriously, and some people might call us stalkers because we would find him at basketball games, and I'd see him, and Paula would see him, Rebecca would see him, and we've stalked Royce Jacobs for the last several years.
I thought it was because you liked me.
We love you. I love it.
When I have money, right?
I still love it. We've had a lot of help from service clubs in the town of Cardston. With the Kinsman Club helped us early on. The Rotary Club helped us with their diamond dance. We got $8,000 from them. We thank them for that. The Lions Club have helped us all along the way. Ardith Tjorlin has been a great help for the Cardston Soccer Association. She hooked us up with two brothers. Maybe you've heard of the brothers, the Robert and Lloyd Simpson brothers. And they shook a little money our way, which was the seed money we got to get us started and give us a little credibility behind us. So we appreciate Ardith and the Simpson brothers for their generous donation. We thank all the town employees. They have just been awesome all along the way. I was going through some email and I'm sorting things out, and Jeff Shaw and I have emailed regarding the soccer field 429 times in the last 6 months. So Jeff's worked really hard, and we appreciate Marian's help early on holding our hand as we went and met with council. Appreciate Mayor Scow and Town Council for their awesome support all along the way. What a great day this is. Appreciate for the help of the families of the Soccer Association, because it's us who are now going to go to work and get this built. We appreciate the County of Cardston, because they've been very generous in what they're about to offer us, and they have agreed to come in and level that land, and they'll get to work as soon as the ground thaws, and in 1 week they believe they can have it leveled. So appreciate the Town of Cardston and the County of Cardston, the soccer families and the Soccer Association. And I'd also just like to tell you how much I appreciate my family, who have just been just awesome for soccer for such a long time. My husband Darren, who's just been a soccer dad warrior. Thank you very much for this one. It's been great.
I think all of you'd agree that soccer is good for Cardston. The main thing with soccer that I see with the soccer players is they don't necessarily become better runners. They learn two things. They learn discipline and they learn focus. And those are two qualities that if they learn when they're teenagers, it will last forever. Because that is, I think, that these politicians will see that we have a lot of problems with people that never learn those two factors. So thank you very much, Mr. MP and Mr. MLA. And we appreciate very much you taking the time and attention, and we're thankful for both the check and the monetary transfer forthcoming. And also, as a town council, we pay respect to Stacy and to Paula and to all the families that have supported soccer. So thank you very much. We'll excuse the soccer families unless you want to stay, because we've got more on the program. Okay, thank you. Who's our engineer? Mr. Up at the front, please. You know, often in a small town such as Cardston is, we don't see the elected officials as much as we would like, and so I do appreciate both the elected officials with the executive assistant and with the press coming to cover this, to also talk about the second phase of development of infrastructure in the town of Cardston. The overview will be given by the engineer. Cardston has a problem with getting rid of all the sewage that comes into our sewage treatment plant. It's called an outfall line. I'll explain to a few. A lot of you know what it is. The outfall line is where we, with treated sewage water, empty it into a natural water course. And the present water course is not adequate for the functions that we are doing. And so as an alternative, we have contracted engineers and have given an alternative system to make certain that we don't contaminate or pollute the fresh water supplies in Canada. It's interesting, if you read the paper today, on the back page of the first section, it talked about pollution of fresh water. It also said that fresh water is only 3% of the water we have, because 97% is salt water. So it's very critical that we protect a very precious commodity, and we in Canada are very, very fortunate in having adequate supplies of fresh water for our population, but we still have a responsibility to protect the environment so that generations in the future also will have it. So again, we have participation by both the federal and provincial government. With the federal government, we have participation equally with the province on supporting the financing of the outfall line. It's basically thirds, with the town of Carson by debentures financing the last third. It's nice to have assistance with grants, but we still have to show responsibility locally. So first of all, I think it would be appropriate if we had an overview of what we have here as far as the outfall, and we'll have your name?
Mark Billowing.
Mark Billowing from Stanley and Associates. Stanley and Associates built the original outfall line 40 years ago when I was on council. I guess it was time that we looked for something more. Would you please tell us what we're doing as a project, and then we will have both our federal and provincial representatives tell of their programs and their co-participation in this project. Mark.
Good morning, everyone. Pleased to be here this morning, and congratulations on with the town of Cardston in terms of moving ahead with the upgrade of the sewage effluent outfall. The town of Cardston does have excellent water and sewer infrastructure, and I guess it's part of a system that we all take for granted. We don't think much about it, but again, we need water, and we produce wastewater, and that has to be managed and disposed of responsibly. This project has basically been on a discussion for the last 15 or so years. And basically the project is dealing with the existing sewage effluent outfall pipeline that takes the treated sewage from the Cardston wastewater treatment plant and disposes it to the St. Mary River. The project basically is going to look at a new relocation of the existing outfall. The outfall has served its purpose from when it was originally built. It was actually completed back in the early 70s, 1972. And look at a relocation and dealing with some issues relating to the condition of the pipeline, but also the capacity. The town of Cardston has been growing and is looking at growing further into the future. And the new system, which consists of a sewage lift station, an effluent lift station, and a new pipeline, will meet the requirements of the future as Cardston grows. The schedule for the project and part of the condition of the federal funding is that all work has to be completed by March of 2011. The intent of the project is we've been busy in design over the last 4 months and moving ahead into the tendering, and then over the next couple of months with construction happening within this next construction year. And again, the construction will be packaged to encourage the maximized involvement of local contractors as part of the construction process. So that basically by the end of the construction year this year, that the system will be in place and operational. Part of the program as well, in terms of supplying emergency power to the new pumping station, will tie into improving the electrical service and the emergency power system for the actual sewage treatment plant as well. That's just one of those things that needs to happen because of size and capacity. So that'll also contribute to the overall longevity of the existing plant, which again has also been in place since the early 1980s and has been performing remarkably well. So again, the town of Cardston has excellent water and wastewater infrastructure, and this project will help extend the life of existing infrastructure and look at growth in the community moving forward to the next 25 to 30 years.
Excuse me, Mr. TV, are you going to take a picture of Mr. Bowes as he talks about this?
You have
This grant?
a new producer.
Sure. What we did is we took care of the soccer. We're now in the second phase of infrastructure development for the town of Cardston, with again favored grants from both the federal and the provincial organizations. And so as you're fixing this part, you have to wait until he gets his camera on the tripod.
You can go ahead, I'll catch up.
I'm gonna do my hand.
Okay, well, thanks for that. And it's good, we're back. And we have another announcement to make, so we'll get on with it. But Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, I just want to say that I think the engineer outlined it fairly well. That none of these projects can go ahead in the community unless the community is prepared and has the means to do it. And you've obviously prepared for this project, and also you're able to take advantage of the 33-cent dollars, as we call them, and for your municipality. So congratulations to you on that. So having just made one significant federal funding announcement for Carson, it gives me great pleasure to inform you that the Government of Canada is contributing $1.545 million as its 1/3 share of the Carson Outfall Project, a major upgrade venture for the town's wastewater system, jointly shared by the Government of Alberta and the Municipality of Carson. Under our Building Canada Infrastructure Stimulus Fund for Communities, our government partners from both the provincial and the municipality will equally match this grant for a total eligible project cost of $4.636 million. Deputy Mayor Russell, it appears the town of Carson is having a good day. As I mentioned before. Less than a week ago, we marked the 1-year anniversary of our government's introducing the Economic Action Plan. And this was a bold and decisive action to respond to the global economic downturn. The Economic Action Plan was a multi-billion-dollar shot in the arm to stimulate the economy, to create jobs for Canadians, and protect those hardest hit by the downturn. As indicated by the engineer, every effort will be made to make sure local people are fit to work on this project. And 12 months later, we're seeing the results. Funds like these announced here today have already been committed to more than 12,000 projects, creating and maintaining jobs across Canada. 8,000 of these projects have already begun. Our plan is working, consumer confidence is improving, jobs are being created and maintained across the country, and the economy is showing tentative signs of improvement. Last week, the International Monetary Fund released data showing that Canada's economic growth will be at the head of the G7 pack in 2010 and 2011. And Carson's this project is an ambitious one. As indicated, it's been on the go for at least 15 to 20 years, and I'm just very, very proud to be part of it. 40 to 100 meters of pressurized force main to change the course of where the outfall is going to be, and some sewer pipe replacement. But working cooperatively with the provinces and municipal governments, we have dramatically accelerated the planning, the development, and execution of infrastructure programs such as the Carson Outfall Project from coast to coast to coast. Once completed, the negative environmental impacts that have been plaguing the town since 1990 will be mitigated, and the management of wastewater and protection of water quality identified as a major priority for municipal officials and management will have been achieved. Congratulations, Carson. I look forward to the ribbon cutting ceremony that will mark the completion of this Building Canada project. Thank you.
Probably infrastructure projects like the outfall project aren't quite as exciting as soccer, but very necessary for the viability and growth of the town. I'm grateful that the federal government and Rick were able to start this program, this infrastructure program. It's done a lot of good for Alberta and for Canada. When the federal government does this kind of announcement, you probably don't realize, ladies and gentlemen, it puts pressure on provincial government also, because it's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, so in order to get the federal funding, the province has to match the 1.55 million. And there are several of these projects throughout Alberta. And as a matter of fact, Rick and I have done several of these in this, I have some of his constituency, and he has he doesn't have Tabor, but he has a lot of mine. So we've been together on several of these. But I can remember well the discussion with our Minister of Transportation and the Premier at the government level, Luc Ouellet, Minister of Transportation, as we debated, how to raise the necessary provincial money to participate in these projects. And it came at a time when provincially our budgets were going down and down. So it was a challenge, and I'm grateful also to our provincial transportation minister and our premier for being able to come up with the matching funds to enable towns like Cardston to have the full value of this grant. As we debated and talked about this in caucus, the premier has always stressed that the goal and objective of the province of Alberta is to balance our budget again, our books again, in 3 years. And to do this, we're going to look for ways to reduce, I don't want to use the word cut, but there's probably room in the budget to be more efficient in the allocation of dollars. Secondly, and this probably is what helped us the most, is that the province of Alberta, through good management the last few years, had $17.3 billion in the sustainability fund. Now, this is not the Heritage Trust Fund. This is in addition to that fund, and we're not using the trust fund for any of these things. We are going to use the sustainability fund, part of the $17.3 billion, to help balance the budget for the next couple of years. The other thing we're going to do is continue to work on infrastructure. And that's a good move financially, because we're getting really 35% reduction in estimates on these infrastructure projects now. So it's a good time to build and to do infrastructure. So I see the wisdom of the premier as we go forward. So, and I also just want to mention in closing, I think Noel was the first one to call me on this one. Marion also, but would that be about right, Noel? You remember calling me and setting me up for this? Noel and I go back a long ways, work together a lot, so I'm pleased and grateful to be able to make this announcement with Rick today, and I know it's a project that will benefit this town, and it's something that needs to be done, and I also recognize that the town has to come up with $1.5 million as their share of this project. So I'm really pleased to be able to participate in this announcement today, and I hope Rick and I can be together and join you when we cut the ribbon. Thank you.
I did not formally excuse Mayor Rick Scow. He has been very happy with the proceedings of today, especially with the monies that have come. But not only the monies, it's the support we have from the citizens of the Cardston area, and also the support of our senior governments. And as I said, for me personally, it is so nice to see faces instead of just reading a newspaper to see what all the bad press tells about our senior governments. So, is there any other business that the floor may want to raise? Ms. Carlson, do you have any comments? Appreciation?
I would just like to express my appreciation again to Mr. Casson and Mr. Jacobs for their support of both of these projects for our community. It's going to benefit us fully, even though we have to come up with 1.5, beats the heck out of 4.6. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
As a council, we do appreciate the administrative staff's support in the administration of the affairs of the town. We also appreciate Noel Smith, who, as I said, is the finance director for the town and is very active in the awareness of potential grants. So if there's, do the councillors have any comments?
Just saying. Yeah, just agree to what Marion said there. Thanks to our MP and MLA. Thank you for that.
We try and give them an atmosphere where they can both perceive and hear our gratitude. With that, there are some refreshments to the back. We'd like you to be sociable if you would like, and thank you all for coming. Thanks.
Come over.
How are you?
Should we do some Robert's here. Good, good. Yeah, make sure he gets one.